Alright, what is going on, guys? Another breakdown for UFC Vegas 68. This one's on the main card at heavyweight. We got Marcin Tybura taking on Blagoy Ivanov. Tybura, the taller fighter, he's going to be 4 inches taller. He also has a 5-inch advantage in reach. But I guess I'll start with Blagoy Ivanov. Snapped a 2-fight losing skid on his last performance. Picked up a split decision. Or no, it was unanimous. I don't know if that's correct. I could have sworn one of the judges had it for um, Delima because I watched that fight this morning. But anyway, yeah, he picks up the decision there. Little tough to score. I thought Delima won the first round, was more mobile, landed more, and Ivanov won the second round, managed to sting him a couple times. In the third round, they were just kind of tied up. Really could have gone either way. But yeah, I mean, we can talk about past fights for Blagoy all we want. He pretty much does the same things in all of his fights. He has very high level ground game, let's say, especially in terms of the ability to get the fight to the ground. Combat Sambo, world champion, has a great judo background, and he does have a really good guillotine. We haven't seen him get a submission in the UFC, but he does have a good guillotine and a good key lock that he does like to threaten. Threatened a couple submissions against Derek Lewis, but Lewis took some chances and was able to scramble out when he did get taken down. But yeah, Blagoy just not a ton of output, primarily southpaw. But when he does connect with that right from southpaw stance, he does a really good job with it, and it it does a lot of damage. He's also good at countering too, but if there's one of these fights where somebody just wants to play around on the outside with him, he'll just accept that. He might land like 5 or 6 strikes. That's happened in a couple of these fights. In the Derek Lewis fight, I don't know how it was a split decision because Blagoy just didn't land much. He did, I think, go 3 of 6 on takedowns. So, like I said, the takedown ability is there, but the volume isn't. However, when he does land, he really does have a lot of power in his hands. So that's why I think this fight is so close because Tabora is a little bit hittable. But yeah, he doesn't really like push for the finish all that well. Sometimes he'll stun his opponent and then he just clinches up with them. So all of his wins in the UFC have been by decision, but I mean it's mostly due to lack of activity. But he has held on to his ranking for a while, and it shows. He's a tough opponent. He's not somebody that's like ever going to be an easy test. He's a really good test to see about getting into the rankings for a younger fighter. Basically, just he's kind of a gatekeeper, but I try to say it in a nice way. But for Marcin Tybura, kind of the same deal. But he's put together a nice run over the last few years. He's been super active. Only loss was to Alexander Volkov, where he just got outstruck at range. But he was pushing the action in the third round. Was 0 of 12 on takedowns. But Volkov, sneaky good takedown defense. The numbers are skewed because he got taken down a lot in a couple of these fights. But that's why I don't really like to look at stats for MMA betting. You just kind of got to watch the fights, and the stats will kind of come to you. They can easily get skewed by something like that. But yeah, not all the most high quality wins, but he kind of exposed Greg Hardy, and it was all downhill from there for Greg Hardy. Beat Ben Rothwell, kind of on the downside of his career, but quality win. Maxime Grishin, quality win. And the most quality win he had was his last time out against Alexander Romanov. And the thing is Romanov doesn't have the greatest cardio as we've seen. He did just lose all that weight prior to that fight. And on top of all that, that was in, I believe it was Utah, and it was like a high altitude, and everybody was gassing out on that card. So I hope we don't have to deal with any more high altitude fights. But yeah, for Tabora, he's slowing down. He always has been just kind of one of these lumbering heavyweights that doesn't really excel anywhere. But he is well rounded at the same time. He can impose his grappling when he wants to. What I like about him on the feet is he doesn't just throw big bombs. Just kind of like some of these heavyweights. He does mix it up. He will use his jab. He will throw some kicks out there, but he does just kind of stand there to get hit at times. And he tucks his head pretty well on entry, but he kind of tucks it the same way every time. So if he just kind of like gets a read on that movement set, Blagoy could catch him with a really nasty left hook. And that's pretty much the main thing I'm worried about if you're a Tybora better in this one. But for me, guys, just I gotta say I don't like to bet these types of fights, these heavyweight fights that could go either way, and women's fights. They always seem to screw me over if I do try to pick a side. But when this line opened up, Tybura was a 2-1 favorite, and now the money seems to be coming in on Blagoy Ivanov. So there is some level of value on Tybura, I would say, and I'm gonna go with Tybura, but it really could go either way. It's a borderline dog or pass situation. I just don't like the low output from Blagoy, and I think that it's not like Tybura has like insanely high output. It's not like he's like a fast puncher, but his output is a lot higher than Blagoy's, and I could just see this fight being pretty boring with Tybura landing some shots at range, sneaking some jabs in, and then they clinch up, and it just kind of ties up there with maybe Blagoy winning the positions, and I could see Blagoy getting a couple takedowns, but Blagoy has faded pretty hard in the third round in his last couple fights. I thought he looked a lot better cardio-wise in his last fight, so maybe he keeps making improvements on that. He is the younger fighter, believe it or not. Both these guys getting up there in age, though, and I do like what I've seen from Tybura. I mean, he's always kind of had, I don't want to say good cardio, but he manages his gas tank well for this weight class. And so, I mean, I think the safest pick is fight goes to decision because Tybura doesn't really have knockout power. I don't think anybody's getting submitted, but if somebody did, it would be Tybura, I think. But I think that we might see Tybura get rocked once or twice here, but it's just the lack of output for Blagoy and the lack of finishing ability. I don't want to say lack of finishing ability because he does have it. We just haven't seen it in the last couple years, but he definitely does have it. I just mean, like, if he does sting him, I don't know if he's going to follow it up correctly. He might tie him up and give him a chance to recover. That's what happens a lot of times when Blagoy lands one of these stiff left hooks or power right. But, yeah, I'm just going to go with Tybura by decision. Again, not a lot of betting value for me. I'm not going to make any significant bets with it, just like a kind of low-level parlay piece, parlay with something else, maybe with another sport. That's kind of the way I see it. So, yeah, I do think that the value has trended in Tybura's favor to the point where I would pick him, but again, I try to stay away from these heavyweight fights for anything significant. These kind of heavyweight fights, I should say. So, thanks for watching, guys. Sure, subscribe, and take it easy.